Hello, Swivel Heads. It's Greg Allison with Green Greg's coming to you live Sunday night, Monday morning, depending on where you're at. We have a G4 solar storm that's been in progress. It's calmed down a little bit, but it may come back again. And to boot, we have a worm moon lunar eclipse coming up. I almost said apocalypse. No, it's not that yet. A worm moon. Yes, we have the worm moon going on now. That's a special interest of the Green Greg's channel. But I'm going to come over here and see how we're doing on the chat room. So hopefully things are working better than they were on my Swivelhead News last night. And yeah, looks like I see something up here. Yeah, I couldn't get it last night. All right, so guys, we're going to go straight into this news so you guys that are watching in the morning can get the meat of it up front. And here it is, guys. Severe solar storm will generate auroras as far south as Alabama. Now, we had some auroras today. I went out and looked for those auroras right here in Alabama. I have seen auroras here in Alabama. It's been many years ago, but they were red and to the north. And that was during a really strong solar storm before all this internet stuff was telling us about this. I called my solar storm buddy up and said, hey, we have any solar storms today? He says, yeah, why? Or last night he said, I saw the aurora. Rob Scruggs is the solar astronomer I was talking about in that case. But again, they're saying that we could see them as far south as Northern California and even Alabama. And it has been done. I have seen it, so I know that's the case. Maybe the problem is right now it's a little cloudy here, and we have the worm moon in the sky. The moon is washing things out. But tomorrow night, we get a special treat. Tomorrow night, we have a prenumeral or partial eclipse of the worm moon, which should be visible all over the United States. Now, the good thing about that is that it will bring down the light of the moon more, and should we have a really strong aurora, you might be able to see it. And we may have a strong aurora, because as you know, this lady here, Tamitha Skov, Dr. Tamitha Skov, pardon me, I got to get my tongue untangled here. She did a video on this a day ago, and you can see from the red line at the bottom, I watched the entire video that she put out. She's a real good forecaster of space weather, especially solar events. I like her channel, so I give her a shout out because she actually predicted that it would be stronger probably on the 25th, which is the 25th here now. I suppose that she was talking about on the night of the 25th. So, but she was talking about 24th and 25th, maybe 26th. If we come over here to the NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center, we find here that there is predictions here for this geomagnetic storm watches issued for the 24th and 25th. And you can see there was a severe G4 storm on the 24th. And you can see the aurora actually got red and pretty intense. It was around the entire circle of the North Pole. A lot of times they just show it on the dark side, I guess because that's mainly where you can see it. But this was a very powerful solar storm. If you were up in Siberia, you would have got a nice light show if the moon didn't wash it out. Now, to give you guys an idea of what a G4 is, so this is what's good about the Space Weather Prediction Center, is they have all this at clickable so you can see what it means here. And that is just swpc.noaa.gov. Anyway, so power systems, possible widespread voltage control problems and some protective systems will mistakenly trip out key assets from the grid, which means you could have a blackout, a brownout in your area should that happen. It's possible in a storm this size. This is not a Carrington event. This is not the size of storm that's going to, hopefully not, permanently fry the large-scale transformers that I so worry about and talk to you guys about in the past. However, this is something to take note of. And mainly we should take it as a warning shot for what could come, because we know we had the Carrington event in 1859 and the railroad event in 1921, either one of which, if they occurred today, because we did not have those large-scale, long-distance, high-voltage transformers back in those days, they are susceptible to be fried out, as one was in 1989 in Quebec during the Quebec hydro event, which might have been only 100th as strong as a Carrington event. And we also now know that the Carrington event is not the strongest event that the sun can put out. It has put out these Miyake events, stronger geomagnetic storms than the Carrington event. So a lot of people consider the Carrington event to be the main thing to be concerned about. Okay, spacecraft operations may experience surface charging and tracking problems. Corrections may be needed for orientation problems, like they may tumble out of control. Lose their control systems, have to be reestablished for their controls. Other systems, including pipeline currents and pipeline current effects, preventative measures, high frequency radio propagation, sporadic satellite navigation degradation for hours. Low frequency radio navigation disrupting and auroras have been seen as low as Alabama, Northern California. Yeah, for this type of storm, about a 45 degree, says has been, talking about they have been in the past. Yeah, I know, I have seen them. Absolutely have seen those here. So that's a fact, guys. More on the NOAA space weather scale, so you can look at the whole scale here. If you click on that, and it shows you for the G5, which is extreme. We're talking G4, which is severe, and they can get extreme, like the Carrington event. So we got maybe KP range up to 8, maybe in what we've had. We're probably back down now to KP 5 or 6 or maybe lower. But it's surged up. There were 2 solar flares that occurred that could be accelerating these CMEs. I don't know if they were in sync. Some CMEs travel faster than others. It was talked about by Dr. Tamitha Skov that the solar wind might have been accelerating those. Rodney Middleton, thank you, sir. Salute to Rodney Middleton. I appreciate that. All righty, folks. So appreciate the super chat. So these are things to take into account. Like extreme, so widespread voltage control problems and protective systems can occur. Some grid components may experience complete collapse or blackouts. Transformers may experience damage. Depends on how strong a G5. This is even shy of a Carrington event here. This is more like the Quebec hydro event, which I mentioned earlier, that took down the Quebec power grid back in 1989. Now, a lot of people say, well, don't worry, these things can only occur on the daylight side of the planet. That occurred at night. Absolutely occurred at night. Yes, the stronger storms can give you the effects any time of the day or night, anywhere around the planet. So a lot of people mistake that. So I am correcting the record here. The Quebec hydro event occurred at night. Now, geomagnetic storm due to CME continues on Sunday. All right, they've updated this. Continues on Sunday, 24 March. So we can look at this. We can click on this. This is what's happening. You can see the elevation here and the increased radiation here. The background, it's hard to read the scale from this level. Coronal mass ejection departed the sun on the evening of the 22nd of March, reached Earth this morning and continues its progression in geomagnetic storm levels to at least G3 expected through Sunday evening, 24 March. So this can keep going on. Maybe we'll still see some aurora Sunday night. Effects G1 through G4 levels have been reached so far with this CME. Related activity with this CME, related activity, that's kind of an odd sentence. And should G4 levels be reached tonight, the aurora may become visible over much of the northern latitude, half of the country, and maybe even as far south as Alabama and Northern California. Again, they cite that here. I have seen that. So let's click back one. Ding, 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 ding. And we will come down here and see that indeed they're talking about this through 24th, 25th. Time and periods of G2 moderate geomagnetic storm are likely on the 24th of March. Well, that was yesterday. And periods of G3 storming are likely on the 25th. Now, see, they weren't even calling it G4 here, and we've already had it reach the G4 level. They were taking moderate on the 24th and stronger on the 25th, which matches what Dr. Tamitha Skov related to us. It could be stronger. We just hit G4. It might come back at G4 again. Let's hope it don't go to G5 because they did not anticipate the G4 part. Moderate solar radiation storm event. So they're showing us here this chart. I can't pull that one up by itself. So that's too bad. We'll come back into this. And why do I cover this? I'm covering this because guys need to be aware that the sun can get us. As you can see, at the moment, the aurora is pretty weak. So it's not particularly strong at this moment. You can see also the proton flux has dropped. You can see that the X-ray flux has dropped. See on this chart here. But you can see it was a lot higher earlier on, and it's been dropping some. So there's a lot of this GOES-X satellite data. All right, I don't want to go backwards now. We're stuck. Yikes, let's go forward so we can get out of this chart here. Have to go home. Let's go home. Back buttons were not working properly. Which can happen. Sometimes these websites have a hiccup. Maybe the solar storm's affecting the interweb, as W used to call it, right? Internets, interweb, whatever. So here we can play the solar storm. Come on, play. Here we go. There we go. Boom. That's one of them. I saw a brighter one earlier. Maybe we'll see that when we go to, uh-oh, let's go home again. So that gives you some idea of what's been cooking, mainly the sun. And dashboards. So we'll check out Aurora satellites. All right, let's go on to the next site here. We'll go to her channel is Space Weather for the Modern World, in case you want to look up Dr. Skov's channel. If you go there, tell her I sent you. Hey, also got a big shout out from Steve Popper, the Popper Report. If y'all haven't checked him out, go to his channel. He's got a good channel. He's about to go on a mission trip to India. But he assured me he'd be safe. He actually sent me an email talking about that. So check out Steve Potter. He gave me a big shout out today for Green Gregs and Solar Head News. So do check out Steve Potter, subscribe, and tell him I sent you. All right, guys. So here we are. This is a picture of the sunspots we're looking at. These two both fired out, 3614 and 3615, nearly simultaneously. And you can see this 3615 is a ginormous sunspot region. It could do more, and they're both facing our direction right now. So we could get more flares. This is the double flare we're talking about. I mentioned this last night on Swivelhead News. And I gave some warning about this on Swivelhead News. Well, it's come. It's here. And we got a coronal hole that's sending out solar wind. Solar wind loves to come out of these coronal holes. So the solar wind could have been accelerating the plasma from the CMEs, the coronal mass ejections, which is matter being thrown out from the sun, electrically charged. That's why it's a plasma, not like your blood plasma, which some of you might give from time to time and get an extra buckarini. All righty, folks. So just while we're on it, we'll look at the asteroid report real fast. There is nothing that we know of, and I would say it that way, that we know of coming between the Earth and the Moon out through the middle of May, 21 May. But, you know, it's always redder in the past than it is in the future because we keep finding new ones. So hopefully we'll get more found and discovered soon. Yeah. So once again, this is another good place to go. Strong X-class solar flare. Yesterday, sun produced a solar flare so strong it took 2 sunspots to make it. So both these contributed together to make that. Directing the fire at Earth. Now, I always liked solar ham, but for some reason, solar ham is just not as current as it used to be, it seems like. I don't know what's going on with solar ham now. I'm not getting the kind of data there I used to like to get. BGD. Beta, gamma, delta. Again, this is showing these sunspots here. It's AR 3615, that sunspot. This is some of the flares we've got out of here. There's an M5.3. That's this guy here. See, when you got your sunspots where they're really strong with a strong magnetic north and magnetic south pole, they just loop. These magnetic poles are right next to each other. These are subfills within the larger sun thing. Angie, hey Greg, you see a neighbor you're fishing? No, I'm still in Alabama, so you see all this set behind me. This is my Alabama studio. I'll be heading back to Arizona probably in just a few weeks, but I am in Alabama right now. So 5.3 solar flare. Scroll in on it a little bit. This might be worth looking at here. This is your chart of the CME blowing out right here. And Earth is yellow. So see, we caught it on the edge here. See this thing blowing out right here? Boom, that's where it got us. This is predictive. You can see the date going into the future. So this isn't real-time data. Got to bear that in mind. This is what they're expecting to happen. Plasma density charts. Comes from the Goddard Space Flight Center. Yeah, this is the photograph we saw last night that we looked at. Major blast here. Can't get these to come up individually. Anyway, solar ham, ham I am, green Gregs and ham. I used to do some live sessions. I called them green Gregs and ham. Y'all remember that? All right, guys, if you want to see the worm moon lunar eclipse, we're not going to stay here long tonight, guys. We're going to keep this in short tonight. The worm moon lunar eclipse. It's going to peak at 3 a.m. Eastern time on a Monday night. For some of us, it's already Monday morning. So about 24 hours from now, about 24 and a half hours from now would be the peak. You'll be able to see it before and afterwards because it's just in the penumbra, the outer shadow of Earth. It's not going to be directly shadowed. So the Earth's not passing directly between the moon and the sun, but it's going to be really close. So we're going to get this prenumbral lunar eclipse. The worm moon here in the proximity of the spring equinox. So they're saying 3 a.m. Eastern time, which would be 2 a.m. Central time, which is about 34 minutes from now for this morning. But they're really talking about on the, well, this is the 25th. The glowing worm moon will light the sky on Monday. Actually, is that going on now? I always assume Monday night, so I'm thinking after. In any event, if you get this well, up here in Farmer's Almanac. There we go. Full worm moon. Yeah, it's going through the prenumerable shadow here. You see this, guys? The sky down here is covered with rain clouds. Yeah, we got a lot of rain here. You'll see the sky get darker. It's going to be more in North America. You're not going to see it in Australia on this one. Now, this is occurring 2 weeks prior to the solar eclipse. Can anybody tell me why this would be 2 weeks prior to the solar eclipse? I'll explain that in a moment. Worm moon. Yeah, it won't be totally dark. It'll be like this. All right, I'm a little confused. Is that going on now? I was thinking like tomorrow morning. Okay. But it's going to be 2 a.m. local. All right, guys, just for giggles, we're going to look at, see if anybody can guess why. We're going to look here at the earthquakes. This one, very good size of 5.4 in the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Things are quieter than normal. Of course, the Puerto Ricans are dancing, but not as much as sometimes. We see a lot of them down there sometimes. Look at how quiet the West Coast is, except for the area of Townsend, Washington, close to Seattle. Yakutat, Alaska. Indonesia got some big rumblers. Kamchatka Peninsula off the coast of that. Kamchatka, 5.1. Here, Indonesia, 5.0. 4.6. 4.4. Fiji's got a 5.1. 4.8. So Fiji's rocking. And Guam, well, we got a lot of military people stationed, 5.2. Of course, Hawaii, that's no surprise. Pakistan. Is this Afghanistan? Yep. Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Mongolia. All right, we'll just kind of look at the weather. We're not going to go over tonight. So we got a 28 days for the moon to go around the Earth, 14 on the other side. Tom, you just about answered it there. Now, Texas has got some severe thunderstorms in here, a whole line of storms. It's like a squall line. I had saw earlier reports expecting major hail out of these storms. I've not actually seen actual reports of the hail, although the ERCOT, the Texas Power Grid administrator, was saying that the eclipse was going to cause major shortages in power, which strikes me as odd because it's going to be like 0.4445% total decrease in power. So they're talking about up to 11.7% of the solar output, which is 3.8% of Texas' total output, which computes to about 0.4445 or something like that. So it's amazing to consider that's going to be a major outage. I would imagine a good hailstorm could do more damage than that. You get both together, I don't know, guys. Kind of strange that they were chomping at the bit on that, but we may get some good hailstorms coming out. So this is probably moving east. And we can check that going forward. Look at all the snow in Colorado right now and up all in the northern tier states here, guys, especially in the Rocky Mountain states, Plain states, Rocky Mountain states over here, Plain states, even over here in Arizona. Got some snow. So could come down here and look at. I am curious to see where the snow in Arizona is at. Just south and east of Sheldon. Maybe Vernon might be getting a little bit of that. Jesse Mills is in the house. He could tell us. Big storm out in the Atlantic. Lots of spring snow. Lots of spring snow. Al Gore, tell me it ain't so. How are we getting spring snow in 2024? Yeah, Gabby. Hey, Gabby. All right, folks, that's pretty much, that concludes the news portion of tonight's broadcast. I just wanted to come in here and give you guys the alerts to the solar storm. The reason I'm doing this is because, guys, we're on the verge of WW3. We got sleeper cells all across America. Our stuff is hacked to the nth degree. And we have PC boards and other electronic components. And a lot of the electronics, the critical system electronics that we've got from China. There's a lot of concern that they may shut that stuff down. There's a lot of concern that hacking may shut our grid and other critical resources down. Shut down the grid, they all fail. There's sleeper cells here. We are on the verge of war with Iran, on the verge of war with Korea, North Korea, on the verge of war potential with Russia. We're on the verge of war. We're trading shots with the Houthis. The verge of war with China over either the South China Sea or Taiwan or both. Jeez, the whole world is baking right now. And Russia has just hammered Ukraine with their biggest onslaught of missiles ever in the wee hours of Sunday morning. They're probably doing it again right now. It's getting intense, folks. It's really, really, really getting very intense. The prospects that we could see trouble here are all too high. The prospects that our grid, here's the bottom line. When it comes to the sun, if we don't take the grid down eventually, and if we don't do the right thing to get our grid hardened, eventually Mother Nature will do it for us. The sun could be sooner, could be later. We don't know. But with these major solar storms, you got to be prepared. These are warnings. These are warnings. If you're not taking heed to the warnings, you're not paying attention. That's why you need to get prepared. You need to get ready. I didn't even bring up any of my typical sites because I was thinking to do this short. Let's see here. What's a good site to go to here for preparations? Yeah, I don't even have any stuff dialed up here. Maybe I do. Wow. Oh, hey, Robert Hodges. Thank you. A friend in Kyiv is in her bathroom. Russia is bombing Lviv. A lot going on. Climate. The movie is coming out on YouTube. Wow. Yeah. And the movie Civil War comes out 4 days after the major eclipse, right? On the anniversary of the War of Northern Aggression. So let me pull up something here. That's low. Let's go to another screen share. What? I'm seeing delays here. Well, hey, thanks, Robert, for reporting on that. It's real-time data in her bathroom right now because of the bombing. I hope she can find a basement, somewhere down underground would be best. There we go, New Days. You hit it right there. Go to prepwithgreg.com. Right now, we got a $200 off a 3-month emergency food supply. As each of these buckets is 2 weeks. 3 months is 6 of them. That could help you out should you need to be able to bug out or bury your stuff in a cache somewhere, or a cache as I like to call it, because it's got an E on the end. Just like I pronounce Knoxville, the K. That bugs some people. Yes, consider New Days is posting Eden Brothers and also True Leaf Market. Check out my links to that. They'll be posted in the show notes below. All righty, guys. I'm going to stop the share again. Yes. What was it? Tom Weary, I believe, hit on this earlier. Yep, Tom Weary hit on it. The total lunar cycle is 28 days. Half of that is 14 days, which is 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from now, we get the solar eclipse. So what that means is right now, roughly when we get the full moon, that means the moon is on the opposite side of from the Earth, from the sun. So the sun is illuminating the entire surface we look at when we go outside at night. So if there's to be an eclipse, then it's the eclipse of the moon, because the Earth's shadow gets between the moon and the sun. But 14 days later, the moon's on the other side. The moon's still in the sky, but you don't see it because the sun's not shining directly on it. It's right overhead, but it's almost between the Earth and the moon. Most of the time on the other side. Well, on the 8th, for a large tract across Mexico and North America and parts of Canada, the moon will be directly in front of the sun, which means it's going to blot it out and give us a solar eclipse. So we got the lunar eclipse, and 2 weeks later, we got the solar eclipse. That's what it boils down to, my friends. So that's the relative position of all these things. But if you flat earthers, I don't know, the explanation is pretty simple when you realize what the orbits are, how they work. It's easy explanation. I don't know how you explain it if all the planets and the sun are little baubles hanging off a mobile spinning around in the sky. Yeah, you can explain a lot of these things if you take that model. I did a video on galactic Gregs where I explained a solar eclipse that was going on in South America, and saying if that model was true, I should be able to see the sun and the moon looking directly south, because Ecuador was directly south of us where the eclipse was going, and you couldn't see it. So if the mobile model with bobble planets were the case, that would have been what you saw. Well, you didn't see that because, one, the Earth's not flat, and that model that a lot of people are so sold on is bunk. And it can be debunked easy, but they want to come up with a lot of Boulder Dash and promote it. But anyway, so much for all that. Shining from the sun. All right, folks, I'm going to check the chat room out here real fast. Thank you guys for sharing all those links. I appreciate that. Tim Casper, hey, hello. Let me go back up the top. We're going to be done here in a few minutes. We've been going 33 minutes. Yeah, we're going to make it short tonight. Bacon Prepper, how you doing? H. Lammers, Fazioli, Juanita, Jeff Molnex, Arnold, Captain Trips, Val, sounds like fun times. It's anybody's guess what comes next. Yeah, pretty much. That don't look good, whatever it is. Rodney, Pagan, Miss T, exciting solar storms. Yeah, they are exciting. Truth hurts. As long as you can just look up in the sky and say, ooh and ah, that's cool. Problem is that you get a character in the event, it's not going to be ooh and ah, it's going to be ah. Yeah, right. Big time. It's all how the wind blows. Well, there is that solar wind. Astral tides, that's a nice name. Earth's magnetic field sucks it all up and ends up in the North and South poles. Yeah, it diverts that stuff toward the North and South poles. That's why you see the roar there. But if the CME is strong enough, it collapses the magnetic field a lot, and then you can start seeing the aurora farther south. If it's super strong, it'll just beat the heck out of the magnetic field, and you can see the aurora all over the place. Like the Carrington event. No, we cannot predict them weeks in advance, Miss T. We're not that advanced with them. That would be nice. We're actually our predictive capabilities on that are considerably lacking. All right, Angie. No, they don't mean our sun's dying. It's just what stars do. Young stars are even more active. So, but it does not mean the sun's dying. It's just what a star does. We're lucky actually because some stars are much more hyperactive with flares than ours is, which would make it very hard to have a technical civilization on the planet, or maybe even an atmosphere. Because you keep knocking the magnetic field down and hitting Earth with a really strong solar storm that's going to erode the atmosphere down. Mars does not have an appreciable magnetic field right now. And that's believed to be a contributing factor of why the Martian atmosphere is very, very, very thin. The Martian atmosphere has a density that is equal to the Earth's atmosphere at 100,000 feet. Now, if you go to Venus, Venus has an atmosphere that has the density of Earth's atmosphere at, I believe it's 30 kilometers above the surface of Venus. And the temperature range there is just like outside. When they go down the surface, it's hotter and melted. It's hotter than the tip of a soldering iron. But you get at the right altitude, temperature, just like here on Earth, the higher you go, the cooler it gets. So, but there is acid in the Venetian atmosphere. So you'd basically have to wear a frog suit just to keep the acid off of you. But you would not need a pressure suit. And the temperatures would be nice. So, and the cool thing about Venus, because there's so much CO2 in the atmosphere, because CO2 is denser than the air here on Earth, if you took your house and just hermetically sealed it, it would float in the atmosphere at about the right altitude. Isn't that amazing? Oh, yeah. You imagine balloons? Yeah, on Venus, easy peasy. What did Jason say? Scientists, what did he say? Scientists have ice core records of solar storms going back thousands of years. Yeah, they do. They do. You can find it in tree rings. You find it in the ice cores. Some of the best data though is in the tree rings, and we found tree ring data going back because we found a ginormous tree in the bogs of Australia. We discovered the tree rings going back over 42,000 years back during the last major magnetic pole excursion. The poles didn't flip 42,000 years ago, but they were moving around in a major sort of way. And some people attribute that to the extinction of the Neanderthal people, which occurred about that point in time, although there's other factors that get attributed to that also. So that's a controversial conclusion. Yeah, 5 inches today, Tom. What'd you get 5 inches of? Rain, snow, sleet, hail. 22 inches of snow last night. Biggest snowstorm in the winter. Yeah, New Days, we saw that. We were looking when we were in the Swivelhead News Channel. You said your power was out. We could see you had a very intense storm up there. No doubt about that. Astral Tides. I love that name. Trillion, says Miss T. Preparedness matters. You're right, Deep Function 100,000 minus 1. Hate all this fighting, you and me both. It's insane. Let's go to Venus. Actually, Venus is closer than Mars. It's easier to get to than Mars. You could use light sails to kind of pull your way away from it. It would be easier to live in the atmosphere of Venus and habitats of the type I have designed than it would be to live on Mars. And you could, I looked at the material limits, the temperature limits of carbon fiber and of iron scoops. You could actually drop dredges to the surface and dredge up material from the surface of Venus and pull it up to your balloon and process it. Yeah. And Venus's atmosphere's got so much, got a lot of elements in it too, CO2, the gaseous elements. You could build a lot of stuff from the CO2 in the atmosphere. There's just lots of it, like carbon fiber, maybe even nano. Maybe I hope that, if you got hard floating structure, who knows? You got a whole area you could work with large scale. It'd be nice to see us one day make large scale carbon fiber fabrics. Or let me say not carbon fiber, but the nanotube type fabrics, the not nanotubes, that's a tube. What do you call it? Nano, shoot, it's based on another word for the fabric. Getting brain lock, guys. Maybe somebody can help me out here. What do you call the fabric that they're making little bitty pieces of from graphite? It's a graphite. What do you call that? Oh shoot, getting brain lock. Anyway, even Mars and Venus were equal distance from Earth. Mars would still take longer. You got a lot of solar energy at Venus. And hey, you know what? You got a huge temperature differential. You could just like if you send something down in the atmosphere and you have cooling radiators up, you could tap that temperature differential and run power. Lots of power. No place like home. Well, that's true too. Toto. Let's see here. Wow, Greg. Now, Venus would be an interesting place. Jesse Mills, hey, are you getting snow right now over in Vernon? Graphene. Yeah, it's a graphene. It's graphene. That's it. I'm going to say and it's a offshoot from graphite. Graphene. Nanotubes is when you've got the little tubes formed from it. It's like in a straw. The graphene's the fabric, the two-dimensional fabric. Graphene oxide. Going toward the sun is faster. Yeah, and you could actually use light bills if you have solar cells, not photovoltaic, but the type that reflects sunlight for propulsion, like my friend Les Johnson has been involved in developing. I've interviewed him on my Galactic Griggs channel. Yeah, they would be more effective closer to the sun, so you could use those to push you away. You could actually tack into the sun, like you can sell it, tack into the wind. It takes a little longer, but it's a propulsionless means of getting around, but they got to be huge if you want to move a lot of mass with it. But see, and Venus is the same size roughly as Earth. So in the atmosphere of Venus, you'd have the same level of gravity. We don't really know if you can live at 1/3 gravity. Different isotopes of carbon. Snowstorm here for 3 days coming. Wow, Giovanna. So now where is here, Giovanna? Somewhere Venus needs Mercury to crash into it to make a moon in reverse spin. What do you know that there's actually ice in the polar regions of Mercury? There's some permanently shattered craters on Mercury that radar from Earth detected ice in. And now they've had some probes go by that have verified it. There's ice on Mercury, the closest planet to the sun. Now, Mercury is probably, it's a very dense planet. It probably has been hit by, so many comets and, coming close to the sun. And quite a few of them have probably pummeled the heck out of Mercury. Mercury probably had its outer crust blown away long ago. So it's probably almost like a core of a planet. So if you want to mine metals, there's your planet Vulcan. It's Mercury. Solar cells will work really great going away from Mercury. So it's possible that humans could live on Mercury, of all places. Solar cell. Yeah, it's a cell that sells on light pressure. If you go to my Galactic Griggs channel, you will find a video there what I did with Les Johnson. He is a really good friend of mine. I've known him for decades, and he's a scientist at the Marshall Space Flight Center, and that's his main area of specialty. He does a lot of advanced deep space aerospace stuff. He's very much involved in some of these groups that are looking at trying to do interstellar travel. Anyway, yes, got about an inch so far. It started again about an hour ago. Okay, Jesse, I looked at Windy a little bit and I saw some snow east of Show, I said, well, if Jesse Mills is in the house, he could tell us if it's snowing in Vernon. And now we know. All righty. Who knows what 1/3 of Earth gravity would do for fetal development? Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. But we do know on Venus, you'd have practically Earth gravity. Practically Earth gravity. Earth pressures, Earth temperatures. You can't get that easy on Mars. You want raw materials? Oh, how are you going to get raw materials? I've heard that a lot of people say. Drop a bucket and dredge the surface. You could do that. And you could also build like submarines. You could go down in the denser, hotter part of Venus, not all the way to the surface, but you could get further down for operations that might help with the dredging. And then surfacing would be a piece of cake, hopefully. Of course, if you crashed, it'd be an ugly crash. You would crash and burn on the surface of Venus. It's exceedingly hot. Exceedingly hot. All right. Thanks for sharing the link to my Galactic Greg's channel. So I love the name Mercury. There you go. So for those that are just joining me here on Green Greg's, I've taken my more pointy news, the kind of stuff that YouTube seems to have more objection to, and I've been moving that kind of content over to the Swivelhead News channel. The reason for that is I've got a lot of green content, evergreen type content here on Galactic, excuse me, here on, well, Galactic Greg's too, here on Green Greg's. You know, like the wild edibles, wild herbs, you know, the content about how to raise worms, how to garden, content about how to protect yourself from CMEs. That's not really that controversial. Ristar Power Grid, that's not controversial to talk about WAR. They don't care too much for here on YouTube. But how do you cover news these days and not talk about what's going on in the world? So I've taken that kind of content, put it on Swivelhead News, just so that I won't get this channel shut down. That's what I'm doing. But it's hurting me because I'm getting less views total, a lot less views total. So it's actually, in terms of AdSense is down. They're demonetizing most of the stuff I put over there. So I will stay on Earthship. There you go, Giovanna. That's all right. Lunar Eclipse is this morning, everyone. Well, it's 2 a.m. Central, 3 a.m. Eastern. So that's right about now. If that's what they meant. I was taking it as the next night, but it could be this morning. It could be right now. I mean, we go outside and peek out when we get down here and have a look. It's either this morning or tomorrow morning. Yeah, it says the 25th. Well, it's already the 25th. In my mind, we're still the night of the 24th. So I've probably blown that a little bit here. Hot catch, solar wind. All right. Actually, see, the solar wind is charged. You could, if you want to actually use the solar wind as propulsion, what you need is a huge wire loop, maybe a superconducting wire and some magnetic field around it. And that could actually be propelled by the actual solar wind, not a big light cell, because you don't get that kind of pressure from the solar wind. It's only an electrical event. So if you had a big magnetic loop, that could capture it. You could sell on that. And I saw an excellent presentation on that by Dr. Bob Zubrin at an International Space Development Conference, probably 20 years ago or longer. Now, you might have noticed on my Galactic Greg's channel, I interviewed Dr. Bob Zubrin. So he's one of my interviews on that channel. I have not done a lot of interviews over there, but Bob Zubrin and Les Johnson, I've interviewed both of them. They don't last long, but they did have one pretty successful landing on Venus. The Russians did. The Russians landed on Venus. They're the only country that's put a lander on Venus so far successfully. And when I was in Russia in March of 2010, I visited the company there that's called Enki, E-N-K-I, that actually, I believe it's E-N-K-I, that actually accomplished that. And I got to meet the engineers involved in it. And for part of the time, I was actually riding around and sitting in the back of a van, just chatting with one of the principal investigators, one of the guys that was involved in doing that project, as we're just driving around in Moscow. I had a great time over there. These are smart people. I mean, a lot of people want to discount them. Oh, they're not smart, blah, blah, blah. No, they're, go land something on Venus and see what it takes. Venus has got pressures way stronger than anything we've sent a submarine into. The temperature is twice as hot as a soldering iron. Oh yeah, you have molten lead on the surface of Venus. It's hot, like 800 degrees. It's exceedingly hot there. It takes 40 to 90 minutes for the event to end. Okay, magnet loop is the word. Okay, why don't you track that magnet loop? Cloud cities on Venus. Amen. Well, we don't know if it is. Probably not. There could be. Could be. And you'll see my concept for habitats that would work. We could actually build those and float them in the atmosphere of Earth without even using helium inside. Just the solar heating of having a transparent envelope encompassing such a volume creates enormous buoyancy, almost too much. I mean, you'd go too high. I mean, you're gonna have to weight it down, let some of the air out, do something, because it's just Earth air is extremely buoyant. In Venetian air, where the air is far denser because the molecules are heavier molecules. I mean, because CO2 has an atomic weight of what, 29. It's a lot heavier. It's it would be interesting. See, Tom, it actually is, but the form of charged partials, but still pressure behind. Oh, okay. Magnetic loop. Oh, okay. So definitely we could have different types of propulsion. You know, those kind of propulsions, either the magnetic loop to use the actual solar wind or light cell. The closer you get to the sun, the inverse square law, that stuff's a lot more powerful and accelerates you a lot. The late great Dr. Robert Ford used to talk about and promote the idea of using light cells like Les Johnson's and hitting them with big laser beams to give them extra propulsion. And that's something that Les looks into and a lot of other people today. Robert Ford was very advanced in a lot of his thinking. He was both a scientist, engineer, and a writer of science fiction. One of the things I liked he come up with was the idea of spinning tethers. A lot of people think we can build a space elevator going straight from Earth to way out past geosynchronous orbit. I don't personally think that'll work for numerous reasons. I won't go into that today. But the spinning tethers that Dr. Ford talked about could work. So his spinning tethers, where you'd have like a series of one low Earth orbit and like one going around the moon. And you could actually send stuff to the Earth and Moon as long as you send as much stuff from the Moon back to the Earth as you send from the Earth and Moon, balance the system out. You could just almost have free transportation. I think you had to have one in geosynchronous orbit somewhere else. I think it's actually a 3-tether system. But you got to shoot things from one tether to the other. So it's just like a transfer from one slingshot to another slingshot. Anyway, it's a pretty interesting night. Hey, Judy, how you doing? You're watching the lunar eclipse. It's going on right now, folks. It is right now. The 25th at 3 a.m. is what it said Eastern. It's 3 a.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. So right now, folks. So I would say go outside. If the aurora apparently isn't that strong right now, I was hoping if the aurora was strong right now, you might be able to see it with a lunar eclipse. So looking for my binoculars. There you go. 3 a.m. in Maine, so you should be able to see it. There we go. So the worm moon eclipse is going on. You're on the worm channel with the worm moon eclipse. Alrighty, folks. There you are. The worm moon eclipse on the worm channel. It is a partial eclipse. The moon will just get dimmer. So that will be interesting. And in 2 weeks, we've got a major solar eclipse. Even though Alabama's far removed from it, they say it's going to be 90% right here in North Alabama. 90%. But the full effect, to see the corona, you got to get the full eclipse. And the full eclipse is going straight over the home of New Days, straight over her house. Imagine that. But where's it enter the United States? At Eagle Pass. Eagle Pass. Get that, folks. Eagle Pass. What do y'all think about that? Anyway, I'm not watching it snowing. Snow eclipses. Well, it will be a little darker than what the full moon would be through the snowstorm. That you can tell. A little darker than it might have been otherwise, at least from a lot of the moon. Well, sometimes a lot of the moon does get through the clouds. You just don't see the moon directly, but the overall lighting of the atmosphere should be diminished to some degree. Too cold outside. Hope it's online. I don't know, Juanita. If I can get, it's a little bit cloudy outside. If I can get a good enough view, I might go outside live on my phone. Catch a little bit. If I do that, I'll do it from the Galactic Grades channel. Cloudy in Arkansas, Allen Line. Now we're being invaded by the eclipse. Lisa Bailey, I'm in a full path of the eclipse in East Texas. All right, Lisa, good for you. All right, folks, I think we've said enough tonight because we didn't have a whole lot of news. This was a special topic, and I will try to stay more special topic here on Green Greg's. I'll probably be talking about some of the economic travails we're facing. Really need to get back to try to doing 2 videos a day. It's really tough to even do 1 video a day. But if I can, I was on a cycle for a little bit. I would probably do the economic news in the morning and some other kind of special event or something. I got to find topics though to cover that aren't as controversial as what I've moved over to Swivelhead News. I was afraid that was going to get me shut down. We're in line for the total solar. Well, good for you, Judy. So you're going to get to see it. Awesome. Tom Weary, too many coincidences not to seek answer from a good book. Well, you never hear me complain about that. The whole eclipse path is supposed to be cloudy. For the solar eclipse? I hope not. I hope not. I have a front row seat for my living room. Yes, you do. All right, so you're seeing the lunar eclipse right now. Very good. Yeah, for the solar eclipse, you need to have special glasses. Amen. Welder's goggles might work. I got some solar eclipse glasses coming back through a Love's Truck Stop. So Love's Truck Stops did have them. Be safe, Greg. Hey, Joe, did you know? All righty, folks. We get beat on some over here. But I did get a little extra watching today. I got some extra subscribers on this channel and Swivelhead News, and it's probably thanks to a good hearty shout out from Steve Popular. If you see his last video, he gave me a really good shout out on there. He was describing why he was getting rid of his staff thanks to new rules from President Taterhead. So President Taterhead's got a new rule out there that more narrowly defines what you can count as an independent contractor. So what that, it's not helping people get more jobs, it's causing people to get laid off. And I've had some helpers out here I got to get rid of. So that's what's happening. You can't afford to go into what they're doing. So I don't know. It's just like go to McDonald's and see the price of a hamburger now. It's outrageous. It's outrageous. Go to if you're in Texas, you can go to a Burger King and get a double Whopper with cheese and a large unsweet tea for about $10. In Arizona, it costs you about $14 because Arizona's got a higher minimum wage. You do pay more for that, guys. You do pay more for it. Don't let anybody kid you. Oh, they want to affect it. I hear it from so many people. Boulder Dash. I can show you where it does affect it. In lots of places, it's already affecting it. And what's that mean? People got less to spend. They ain't going there and buying all that stuff. All right, deep function 100,000 minus 1. And all my, I can't shut my heart. It says, be safe. God bless USA. Arnold says, dark green Walters helmet glass is all in one V8 viewing equipment. I guess you meant viewing. Cellophane at primary school. All right, it better be really good. That's my fiat money supply being devaluated. Amen. Vivian, how you doing, Vivian? That's why I don't eat out. Yeah, it's just gone crazy pricey. Now, I had a great dinner tonight. I was taken out by my daughter. my very youngest daughter is quite successful in her own right. Took me to, she likes the fancy restaurants, the ones I wouldn't go to on my own. That's the one she likes. She took me out to a real fancy restaurant, and I had one of the best steaks I've ever ate. It was very juicy, very, very tender, and extremely flavorful. It was awesome. So hats off to my beautiful young daughter. And I really appreciate welder's glasses does not block UV rays. Okay. Take that into account. Now, you know, some of your sunglasses, they put a special chemical coating on for that, and it should block some. If you look at welding, it's liable to burn your rods and cones out in the back of your eyes. Ribeye, I don't remember what it was. No, I don't think it was ribeye. I'm not a big ribeye fan. It was, I don't know what it was, but it was great, whatever it was. They called it a Maui something. It was a big chunk. It might have been ribeye. I don't normally like ribeye, but it was a really big chunk of steak, and it was very juicy, very flavorful. That was great. And instead of getting the potato to go with it, I got because I'm back on my low carb, I got broccoli. Broccoli's real good for you. For those that don't know, broccoli has sulforaphane. Sulforaphane helps form glutathiones and things that are essential for your immune system, has tons of health benefits. So look up sulforaphane, look up glutathiones, and see what that does for your health. And in microgreens, it's like 40 times more intense for sulforaphane. That's why microgreens broccoli is extremely helpful. So check that out, guys, and check out my videos on growing microgreens that I did years ago. And I was growing microgreens up through last summer. I have shut that operation down for now. Anyway, everybody's a nice cut. Alrighty. Too much fat with some. Hey, I like the fat. Yeah, this has a good bit of fat in it. So I don't have an issue with that. When you're on a low carb diet, fat don't hurt you. No, sir. In fact, Eskimos used to live off whale blubber. So when you're in cold Alaska, yeah, you need the energy. Is it true that you worked on the ISS modules? I did. I worked on the International Space Station quite a bit, mainly in the robotic system and some of the power system stuff. Then I worked node 2s and 3 modules, and I was responsible for the layout. Actually, I picked all the pinouts of all the power and data on nodes 2 and 3. So I wrote a change request that established the utility rails. Gary Barnhart was the primary author, but I really helped him out a lot on that for the International Space Station. We call it Space Station Freedom back in the day. So omega-3 is good. Yeah, you get that with your fish. So yeah, I've done a lot of work in the International Space Station. I did a lot of work with the Space Launch System, got behind me here, and a lot of other projects. I worked a lot of space projects. So my last projects were satellites. So T-bone. Okay, Rodney. So we've been here 63 minutes. Everybody roll where you're from. Sauerkraut is awesome for your gut. Yeah, that's true. It's got the good biology to it. Probiotics. Everybody just tell us where you're from. We're going to go. Roll to us where you're from. Just have a scotch. Yeah, I can't do scotch. Hard liquor like that would oh, I can't handle it. It makes my heart go to the racetrack. Tachycardia, big time. All right, Area 51, Rodney. Queensland, Rodney. Jason's in Area 51. Rodney's in Queensland. Welding glasses for art welding, stick, MIG, TIG, all put out UV light. That's why you get sunburns and not protect. That's right. Catfish. Okay, Mr. Peeps, that's fine eating. Need these. I'm gonna do my fasting today. East Texas, I'm on Vector. Ohio, Judy. East Texas, Lisa. West Tennessee, Marcia. Have you met Elon Musk? Yes, twice. New Hampshire here, Astral Tides. Missouri outside the STL area. Oh, East Texas. We got a bunch of people in East Texas. Annette, FMC programmer, Nevada. What is FMC? Juanita Sparks, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, and Jalique Costa, West Florida. H. Lammers, Missouri. Miss T is in Ohio. You're up there with Judy Dowell. My peeps, New Hampshire. Okay. Audion Gordon in the Pines of East Texas. There you go. Northern Maine, New Days. Central Georgia, Tony Blackman. Nothing happening with the moon so far. Is it not getting dimmer? Well, maybe it's tomorrow night. Northeast Wisconsin, Darlington, South Carolina. All right. Yeah, when they say the 25th, today is technically the 25th. So technically, if they're right, it would be going on right now. But yeah, I don't know. My mind always go with the night after. Elon could use a safety engineer. Actually, we did a little contract work for him at one time. So I've actually done a little contract work through Bastion Technologies for SpaceX. And I do have a SpaceX Starlink out in Arizona. I've not set it up yet. They've started charging me monthly fees already. Carolina in the spring. Hey, Jacob. I used to live in Spring Lake, North Carolina. Spring Lake, North Carolina. Nope, not a thing happening. Okay. So it may be tomorrow night. Is Judy still in the house? Or are you seeing it dimming? You're at the edge of the country in your day, so maybe you wouldn't see it if it were. I'm going to go out in a little bit and double check. If I see anything, and if I can see it well, I might go live from my phone on the Galactic Grades channel. You know her well. Who's this Rodney's asking about? Oh, you know Rodney's unnamed friend? Oh, you're funny. I don't know. Rose-colored glasses. Hey, I can handle that. I'm wearing my Space Force hat tonight because we're talking space stuff, guys. I supported. It's supposed to start at 2 a.m., peaking around 3. Yeah, that's Eastern. There we go. I bought these just for a video I did on rose-colored glasses talking about worldviews. So you can check that out. Go back to my rose-colored glass video. Anyway, I need leftover pot roast sandwich. Oh, that would be good. Especially a little horsey sauce, horseradish sauce, pot roast. Maybe some really sharp cheddar cheese. All right. Well, it's supposed to be mainly centered in the U.S. I don't know. In Maine, you might be out of it. Judy was indicating she was sent. Judy, you're seeing it? Okay, Judy says she's seeing it. So Judy sees it, New Days can't. So New Days, I guess you're not in the shadow. I laughed at your poem. Yeah, I throw some poetry out from time to time. I need to do a new one on about JB. I got several JB poems over on Swivelhead News. So sound like something to Arby's. Well, you can get horseradish sauce at the grocery store. But yeah, Arby's makes some pretty good. Yeah, I like their horsey sauce version. Yeah, but that horseradish, I just get horseradish. Now, actually, if you grow radish microgreens, you don't need sauce. Just take the reddish microgreens and add them to roast beef or any meat, especially beef. Wow. It will make the flavor pop. I love daikon radish. Yeah. Or Rambo purple radish, something like that. Put that in your meat. Oh my gosh, it is awesome. It is awesome. So microgreens are great. They're really healthy for you. And you know, that's the same effect as it's like a trip to Arby's. That's what you were saying. Okay. Okay, Bob. Apparently it's not visible in Maine. Judy's seeing it. I go with straight horseradish and grind it my own. There you go. That's best. Yeah, you know what you get when you buy a sauce. They got all kind of additives. But if you can grow the microgreens, you ain't got to grind nothing. Just cut them off, clip them, and put them in. Those greens taste just like, now, you know, if you, what's growing in your garden, they say it takes 28 days to have a product you can eat. No, you can eat the microgreens off the bat, even when they're first coming up. Microgreens is when the first two leaves come up. So if you're extremely hungry and you plant radish, as soon as those little green leaves pop up, you can start eating. Should have a lot of beans too. Alrighty, folks, we've been going long enough. We're 71 minutes. Don't worry, I have a wedge of sharp cheddar that's over 25 years old. Woo, I bet that's sharp. Wow. Try chunks of horseradish grows like crazy here. I bet it does, Judy. And Judy's a big time gardener. She grows a lot of stuff. Days grows a lot of stuff. They're both big time gardeners. Yeah, I should go to each place and interview each of you on your garden. That'd be interesting. Blue Moon. We poke garlic cloves and the beef roast. Oh, that's good. I grow garlic. I grow a lot of garlic. Just add mayo if you want the sauce. There you go. Love mayo. That would do the trick. Absolutely. Alrighty, folks. 150 watching. So we've gone from the worm moon to how to make your own horseradish sauce. Jar of horseradish. Yeah, you can buy it ground up, or you can grow it. Or you can grow microgreens. You don't have to wait till the tuber forms. You got it right off the bat. It's the same flavor. It's just as tart. The microgreens are tart, just like the radish, not the root, just from the greens themselves. So now you're hungry. Astral Ties loves the garlic. All right, yeah, garlic is extremely healthy for you. They're saying that garlic helps extend lifetime. Maybe it's because it runs the ladies off. I don't know. Just joking. Just joking. Anyway. Yeah, it's kind of hard on the breath. But if you're both eating it, okay, so you won't notice it. So if you're on a date with somebody, going on a date with somebody, make sure they're eating what you're eating. But garlic is extremely good for you. Steak on. There you go. Rodney's about to throw a steak on. I had an awesome steak tonight. Few days. I have a nice horseradish bed. It's 10 years old. Sometimes I dig up the root and chop it up to replant. There you go. All right, Astral Ties got to laugh out of what I said. I figured somebody would in a little bit. It keeps a long time. Almost always missing from the garden. You got to grow beans, corn, and everything. There you go. Salsa. Alrighty, folks. So we went around the world. We've talked about these eclipses, lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, and radish, and microgreens. Yeah, watch my old videos on here on microgreens. You really should grow some. Turnips from Virginia are the best. A lot of people grow good turnips. They tend to grow better with a little cooler. Hey, Amanda, how you doing? Much love, Grady. I hope you and your family are well, mate. Yeah, we're doing well. Thank you there. Amanda, good to see you. Salute Mandy from down under. Rodney got some down under company in here. So the spell you're under from way down under. Thank you, Jesse, for asking for the thumbs up. I love it if I have a stuffy head. Oh yeah, that'll clear your nasals out. And so are the microgreens. The microgreens are awesome, guys. Check them out because you can have something to eat really fast. I mean, 10 days tops, 7 to 10 days, you can be eating with microgreens. That's right. She's from Oz also. Mandy's from Oz. Amanda. Amazing Amanda from way down under. Yeah, she's one of your continental neighbors there, Rodney. Yeah, you won't be getting it down in Australia. So they're going on here in North America right now. Yeah, a lot of clouds. Well, we got some clouds here. I'm about to go out and have a look, see. I better get with it. Alrighty, folks. Thank you, super chatters. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We had a good night here, a good little